it's a bit distressing that just as the world was beginning to shrug off the effects of COVID-19 and the shutdowns, putting all the businesses shut down and closure behind, and emerging from a global regime of fear and trepidation, the Russia-Ukraine war reared its head, leading to another period of business uncertainty around the world. One paradox is that crude oil, Nigeria's mainstay, became more expensive than expected and started to look relevant again, contrary to what pundits had asked us to expect. Nigeria has, however, been unable to capitalize on the new windfall. Nigerian businesses have been invariably doing better than they did in the COVID era. However, questions of sustainability, strategy, continuity, risk management, and so on continue to face these businesses, leading to more fragility, volatility, and inability to compete favorably internationally. Today, businesses are having to invest in programs that include business analysis, business continuity planning, and sustainability strategies that can help ensure that they continue to be around in a VUCA world. VUCA, V-U-C-A, stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, and that's the new world we live in. Nothing seems to move in the expected manner anymore. For Nigeria, one gets a sense of being hemmed in. Many or most businesses here are playing on the fringes, being middlemen for companies abroad or assemblers at best, never producing or innovating anything original. How can we start to change that trajectory en masse? How can we reposition our country, our businesses, and by extension, our people? Joining us to discuss this today on The Nationalist, your show, is Mr. Taufik Babayeju, the CEO of iCentral. He's an entrepreneur, author, and a tech and management professional. Welcome, Mr. Taufik.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tokwe,
Thank you so much.
Dr. Fashua.
Oh, yes, yeah. Thank you very much.
And congratulations on your doctorate.
Thank you very much, and thanks for coming. So, I mean, I'll just go straight into the questions. You know, I mean, we are talking about just having crawled out of COVID and, COVID and all of the shutdowns and what have you. What do you think are the major issues that businesses are going through these days in Nigeria, for example?
Today, businesses are on the brinks of collapse because we are not really positioned for what came upon us. Before COVID actually came, we've been talking about disruption. There have been talks about innovate or die. Like you said in your intro, most businesses in Nigeria are more or less middlemen. We don't create in Nigeria. The technology that we consume, we don't own. And that is something that China has done very well. Okay, yeah. They've looked at a model around the world, and they created their own technology. If you also look at India, they've also looked at what is working across the world. They found their niche to be the talent headquarters of the world, and it's not by chance that all the tech companies in the world right now are headed by Indians. Most of the tech companies, right? Yeah. And even Nigerian businesses, you can name them. I don't want to name names. Okay, they are run by the big companies. They are run by Indians. Okay, but we've not been really, really strategic about what we want to do as a nation and what we want to be known for. So when COVID actually came, it came to also hasten the disruption that was going globally. Now, that was going on in the developed world. But it now leveled the playing ground. Everybody was disrupted. And after disruption, we had to face the reality that we're no longer, or we've not been globally competitive, but now it's time to rethink our business model.
Yeah.
Every nation is a business portfolio. But we treat our own nation as a geographical map. Nations trade. And that is why when there are agreements, when there are bilateral agreements, it's all about trade. What technology are we consuming? What goods are we consuming? It is totally unacceptable that Nigeria will have over 80 million hectares of land, arable hectares of land, and we're only cultivating about 50% of it,
or less perhaps,
and we're importing, what we feed. What we feed on.
Yeah.
So we're running a very unsustainable economy.
Indeed.
And again, it's about business model. We need to rethink the business model of our nation. We were not prepared.
Well, I think you've taken the discussion in a whole different trajectory, and you've raised some very scary prospects as we were speaking. I was going to ask you, how do Nigerian companies measure up in terms of sustainability and innovation, locally? But you've also introduced the concept of the nation as a business, So take Nigeria, take the companies that operate within Nigeria. We're supposed to be very entrepreneurial people. How are we faring in terms of innovation and sustainability? Of course, you mentioned some of that. I'd like you to elaborate, but I also want to pick up one thing you said, which is very germane, that countries like China, like India, even South Korea, have found ways of finding their own niche in terms of technology, even creating theirs. And so rather than import all the technology they use, there's some that's indigenous to us, which we're not doing. So what do you have to say about all these issues?
So I think it comes down to us as a nation to now look at our priorities and set our priorities right. Okay, I keep on saying this, right? Entrepreneurs build nations.
Wow.
Not politicians. Politicians are our employees who are supposed to help us run the system and make the business more profitable. Okay. But we're not building super brands. That's the problem. In Nigeria today, every big player globally, whether in technology space, whether it's in retail space, whatever, wants to take a chunk of the market of Nigeria because we have the largest population in the whole of Africa.
Yes.
And Africa is the next frontier. You have a population of about 90% of Nigeria is between age of 16 to 65.
Yes.
That is a very active population. Now, on the flip side, you see other developing countries, maybe about 10 to 15% or even 20% maximum is within that age bracket. And we're not looking at our competitive strategy, which is our human resource, which is our talent to the world. But these guys, I don't want to go the way of the theory of slavery again, but we have also turned ourselves to slaves.
Oof.
Now, why did I say that?
That's solid.
Yeah, we're voluntarily, going into slavery, because we have a population that is useful to the world, but we don't think about how it's going to be useful to us. So Canada, US, UK, everybody comes up with different kind of visa, because they don't have the population that we have. They don't have the skill that our people have. It's a global skill. Whether you have, Cisco certification on all these certifications, they're global certifications. And nations, like I said, is a business portfolio. They have strategies. They know what they need to build. So when the first wave of, the slavery came, it was about, we wanted to build Europe. We don't have the human capacity. We don't have the people that could work. Let's go get these guys as slaves and bring them here. Let them go do the work. But they have a clear idea of the kind of nation, that they want to build. But right now also, their population, their youthful population, their working population is thinning out.
Yes.
And they still have an idea of the nation they want to build. Okay? And they don't have the population. But we as a nation don't understand the usefulness of the youthful population that we have. But they've created the kind of different kinds of visas, to attract our talents. So talent is global now. Everybody needs to move to where his talents will earn the money. All right? But the fact is, we're having some, I call it voluntary, slavery, because there's always a cap as to what you can do outside these environments.
Exactly. Yeah, people hit what they call glass ceilings.
Glass ceiling.
You can no longer progress in organizations.
Because you are from a certain country.
I have friends who complain they're so bitter every day. They're thinking, how do they come back home and so on. And when you're getting to my kind of age, they begin to show you that, look, you really don't belong here. And there's so many things that one can do with one's life, like in your own country. It's a bit easier to get involved maybe in the politics of your country. You want to be a bit more relevant and so on. So it's a very dire thing that you have mentioned, that we seem not to understand our resources. And what we have, is we have the people. Again, China has 1.4 billion people. And they seem to be managing that population a lot better than we are. Like even India are doing. What do you think is the way out from some of this quagmire?
So we need to be deliberate about the kind of nation we want to build. Okay, like I said, entrepreneurs build nations. And there has to be that convergence between leadership and entrepreneurship. And that is what I call leadpreneurship.
Leadpreneurship.
Yeah. And that is a concept I've been pushing for a very long time. Because there has to be
that. How does that work? Like a leader, an entrepreneur must be a leader, or what?
So by virtue of what you have done in your space as a business leader for a very long time, what you have done over the years is to unearth opportunities, spot out opportunities, bring people together, create something out of nothing. Yeah. That is what entrepreneurs do. Then the politicians, who are supposed to be our own employees, are supposed to create, the enabling environment or, the policies that will help us to thrive.
All right.
When these two factors don't meet and they're in divergence, the nation can never come together.
Wow.
We can't be prosperous. And that is why when US comes to you, it doesn't come to you as a political country. It comes to you as a business. Whether selling hams to you, whether as Facebook, whether as as Google and whatever, Amazon, because the size of a nation is the size of this business, is the size of its trade.
Fantastic.
But we are carrying on as just a political entity.
Exactly, and I need to let you know, that we're still an agricultural country. I think that should be news to you. I'm sure you're aware, but it should sound as news to people, which is a bit shocking that 62 years after independence, we're still an agricultural country. To the extent that when you look at our trade on the export side, we export crude oil, we export some gas from NLNG, and the next thing we export is actually agriculture. Sesame seed, sorghum, cassava, yam, and then cocoa on this side. But on this other, and these are in the millions, hundreds of millions of dollars really in a year. But on this other side, we're still importing $2.3 billion worth of grains, and about 900 million worth of fish, and another 800 million worth of milk and dairy. And in fact, our import of dairy alone, milk and dairy, covers everything we're exporting. And so you can see that things are really unsustainable. What is the way forward?
So, like I said to you, we're not trading enough as a nation. We're not trading enough.
Even, do we even have what to sell?
Yeah. And even within the African country, we're not trading enough.
I hold your thoughts, Mr. Taufik. We'll come back to you shortly. We'll go on a short break now, and kindly stay tuned, please. Welcome back to your show, The Nationalist, and we've been discussing issues of business strategy and business sustainability with Mr. Taufik Babayeju. Welcome back. Welcome back, Mr. Taufik. And, I'm going to take you on a slightly different direction, If you've been following global news on business and economics and so on lately, the world is supposed to be going on another global recession. Which way for Nigerian businesses? Another global recession, low growth, high inflation, confusion, and some of this is because of course, part of the blowback from COVID,
yeah.
the shutdown of businesses, the fact that businesses are only struggling to come back. Supply chains were disrupted, logistics were disrupted, companies closed down entirely, and so on. It was supposed to be the apocalypse. So we have that, and then this Russian-Ukraine war. And because of Russia and Ukraine war, crude oil prices have gone up again. Maybe it's tapering a little bit now. Which way forward for businesses, really?
We need to buckle up, right? It's going to be a tough ride. It's going to be a very bumpy one. I remember early this year, IMF, you economists projected that we're going to have 4.4%
GDP
growth, across the world. That is not happening.
Yeah.
We can see the volatility right now is staring us in our face.
Yeah.
You talked about the global glut in the supply chain, and the war. The whole of Europe is unstable right now.
Right.
Can crude oil sustain us when we're, as a nation, like I said, we're paying debts. We're repaying debts with almost everything that's we make from crude oil. I'm not a prophet of doom, but it's really scary what is in front of us. If we don't find a way as businesses to be globally competitive,
Yeah.
to earn money in dollars, in foreign currency, because it's obvious now that the divides have been broken thanks to technology.
Yeah.
COVIDs have also come to show us that you can actually be in Nigeria and provide services to people as a freelancer all over the world. But like I said, we're not building super brands. So we see efforts, pockets of efforts.
We're not building super brands, right?
We're not building super brands, okay? And that is dangerous because Amazon alone, I don't have the figure at the top of my head how many people that they employ. Now, Tesla is saying to US that is about to drop about 10% of his workforce, and the state is shaking. So we need to have super brands. I'm not saying like the Dangotes of this world and the rest of them. I think government is focusing energy on little things. The distribution of money to this person and all of that. These are not sustainable.
They're not sustainable.
We need to take a lot of people out of poverty.
Yeah.
So what we need to start focusing on, like I said, a country is a business.
Yeah.
Okay. Texas, where I operate from now, is a ninth economy in the whole world.
Ninth economy.
Yes, if you look at the GDP of Texas, as place it put it side by side with GDP of every country in the world. Texas is number 9. It came from number 10 to number 9. Why? Because of the incentives it has given to businesses. And so many, tech businesses are moving from Silicon Valley now to Texas. Austin is the new home of technology in Texas. So we need to start looking at the nation more from a business perspective, strategic, and draw up strategy for our survival.
Because I was going to ask you, why do you think that businesses are challenged in terms of strategy, but not only businesses, even the public sector in Nigeria? I mean, why are we so challenged as part of strategy? And, maybe do we make strategies, or is it implementation? What exactly is the issue? So, because like you said now, we can see the lights of the train approaching, and we're right there on the tracks, and everything is showing red on our dashboard, really. We need to act fast and think strategically.
So the strategy of a business can be more super than the environment it operates in.
Oh, okay. You have to be ahead of the game.
So one thing when you look at businesses, working in, in different climes, you do your personal analysis, all right? Political, economic, and all of that. All of these things, affect the strategy of the business itself.
Yes.
Because if, as a tech company, I need to pay for licenses, I can't pay more than a certain fraction of dollar in a day, and I have a business of about $100,000 or $200,000 to transact with another foreign company, and I have to go to CBN. All the conditions
all those
that makes bottlenecks, that makes businesses almost impossible, and you being globally non-competitive.
Exactly.
We need to start looking at it, from.
For example, now I understand that if you're an exporter out of China, automatically you get 15% from the States by way of, incentive, which as an exporter.
So let me give you a case study of when I was in the telecoms. I'm talking about even before the advent of GSM, over 2 decades ago. It was right before my very eyes that ZTE, Huawei, and which other one? I think about 3 Chinese companies came and said to MTEL, Nitel, that because we had Motorola, we had Ericsson, we had Siemens, these 3 manufacturers or OEMs as our partners, and for us to upgrade on any of these networks, or even to install new base stations and all of that, it cost us several, millions of dollars. And these guys came and said, you know what, swap all these websites, all these sites, all these operating, at no cost.
No cost.
We won't collect money from you.
Wonderful.
You will pay over time. That is Chinese strategy.
Wow.
It didn't come from the company. It came from the country, from their governments, that we're going to give you loan.
Country as a business.
Yeah, it's a country as a business. Okay, so when you see what China is doing, it is taking, every business in China is taking from the national strategy, because they know where they want to be in the world.
Wow.
And they are positioning their businesses. They are not carrying guns to come to us.
Yeah.
Economically, they are coming to you, using their companies as a front.
Yeah.
So how many Nigerian companies are positioned?
And we have this African free trade zone thing, free trade agreement thing that we could also leverage on. Are we moving fast enough as Nigeria?
You just said something. I don't know what Nigeria is doing, but the fact is, the last I checked, how much trading are we even doing within the African continent?
Yeah.
What are we producing? To exchange, because Nigeria is the population. Nigeria is where everybody wants to sell to.
Yeah.
But Nigeria does not have products that is taking, we don't have those super brands that we take out of Nigeria. So the last you checked, apart from the banks, which, naturally have, and the telecoms, who have gone outside Nigeria to the rest of Africa, which other brands?
Maybe Dangote.
Dangote, yes, okay, because of what it does. But how many? When you look at the brands, Dangote, you can actually
count
on your fingers. This is how countries win war. It's an economic war.
Absolutely, I think that's a very important thing. And again, I'd want to say that look, I want you to have this in mind. The discussion of a country as a business, a nation as a business, is something you must come back when you're back in town. We must explore that and really take it apart, because it's a different way of imagining things. And I think that, yes, we have a lot of poor people. They can still be accommodated and lifted up China did that. 800 million people out of poverty in about 10 years and so on. And even the private sector is playing an active role in lifting people from poverty, and they are making their profit. But I'll quickly ask you, they say that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Are there cultural issues that are inhibiting our strategies or our ideas about leveraging in this country and getting out of this, constant, underachievement, if you may call it that?
Okay, so, since we started, I didn't want to go, theoretical or academic or about strategy. So you could note that I wasn't talking to strategy, as the meaning of strategy. But what is strategy itself? It's about how we want to play to win.
Yeah.
What do we want to do to win? What are we not going to do?
And what should we be doing? Yeah.
What we should be doing. But if I ask you today, Tope, that what is Nigeria known for?
I was in the Dubai Expo just before March when they closed. So in the Dubai Expo, every country had their own pavilions and so on. Most of the African countries had crops and so on. In Nigeria, we had only the music. So when you go into Nigeria, you just be hearing, Davido, Wizkid, but there was no way for people to really connect
with
and say, okay, I need to download that music right now. What do I do? There was nothing to show, So you come in, you hear the music, you go out on the other side. That's the end.
So you just hit something very, very important. When US came to us, when we were kids growing up, they came to us with Hollywood.
Yes.
They showed everything that was super, technology, the future of technology, James Bond and all of that, US, UK, and the rest of them, the rest of the world. That was a strategy using entertainment for us to picture US as the superpower.
Before we knew it,
each time, I remember my dad, if he picks up anything, if he sees made in Korea, made in Japan or whatever, he throws it out. The only thing he wants to see is made in UK or made in America. Because in our mind, everything from America or UK was superior. Okay, now the world is buying our entertainment, which was actually, which developed despite governments. But however, every streaming channel for that music, or for those music, for the guys that are making money off our products, they are not Nigerian.
I have to chase you down and bring you back to this station because there's so much to discuss. Thank you very much, Mr. Taufik, for coming, and it's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much.
We thank you, the viewers, for staying tuned to your show, The Nationalist, on your TV station, Trust TV. Thank you very much.